So we have the 88 to 89 cluster, the bezel, and the Type R gauge overlay I bought off eBay from Glow Gauge for $35. Comes with the wiring, all the plugs on the dimmer switch, and you actually wire this into your fuse box. The tools you'll need to do this is a power probe or a multimeter to find power, and small screwdrivers to take things apart, and a Dremel tool to make access. You will also need to add a fuse to tap into the fuse box when adding power to the gauge. Also, you need a pair of wire strippers and crimpers like this. First, to take it apart, you're going to have to press down on this tab, that tab. Take this out, that's going to go with it. And then on the bottom side, you have to do the same thing. Push those two tabs in and it comes apart. So you got all the tabs pushed in and that wire disconnected, it will come right apart. Put straight up on it. So while I got mine broke open, I'm going to go ahead and clean the inside of this. If you have it apart, it will look like this. So the next thing we have to do is, you see where the holes for the screws on all of these, you're going to have to remove those Phillips head screws on all those. Remove the screws with a small screwdriver. Slide this over your needle just like so, and then reinstall your two screws. To get this side to fit, I actually had to slide it over the needle first, and then to get onto here I actually had to push that down to get it to slide over, and then it drops right in. For the last one, I slid it on over the fuel gauge side after removing my 4 screws first, and then we can get it to go on to the hot cold side and it drops right on, and then you can screw that one down. The way I'm going to route my wires when putting this back together, I'm just going to run them right through this channel where they all come out the back of the cluster. I'm going to notch out a little spot right here, so I'm going to use my handy dandy Dremel with a little sanding bit on the end of it, and we're going to Dremel away. So once you've Dremeled the cluster, you're going to have to notch it right here where the little recessed spot is, back far enough where you can run all of your wires in through that little channel now. So when you put your gauge cluster lid back on, it won't pinch your wires. I also had to notch it right here because of this connector. It was wanting to push against the cluster and not allow it to seat properly. You can now tuck all your wires in that channel and right there, and make sure that you've got all of your spots started. So you'll hear them click into place. Go back to your top, snap together. There's one, and now this side until you hear it click into place as well. Once it's all clicked into place, now you can route your wires and put your bulb back in here and twist it clockwise. Be careful when doing your overlay if you accidentally move your needle. Okay, to recalibrate this, I had to go all the way until it stopped, and then I just had to push down and let it drop. I'm gonna go back right there and see how I went a little bit too far past. So I'm just gonna push it down, and now I'm back at 0. So now you'll have your gauge cluster looking like this. All of your wires will be routed to the back, and now we can go to the car. Once you have your Type R overlay installed, now you have to find power. You're going to need either a multimeter, or in my case, I'm going to use a power probe. When working on your EF Civic, to find the fuse box, you have a panel. You have to push to the left on the left side and pull down, and right on the right side. Pull down, and it comes out because it's got these two clips. One right there and one right there. When using your multimeter, turn it to volts. It's got to be DC. So notice down the bottom of this one it says DC. If you turn to that one it says AC, that's for house. Go to DC. When looking at your fuse box underneath, you're going to have to try to find power when the headlight switch is on. So turn your headlight switch to the first click so it doesn't drain your headlights down. To find your power, you're going to have to take your ground black cable and find a grounding point. So I'm going to take this bolt, for example, and use it. Is with your multimeter, you're going to want to try to find power. So when you turn your headlight switch on, that's what we're looking for to see if it's getting power. So this one right here, it has 12 volts. Now if I turn off the switch and I check it again, same spot, we have none. That fuse number is number 8 on a 91 Civic. So to hook up a power probe, you're going to hook up the ground side and the power side, and you'll hear it beep. So we have 12 volt. Yes, it's got built-in LED lights, it's pretty sweet. Also, another really sweet thing, it's got a 20-foot cable. So you can go anywhere on the car with it. It's pretty awesome. So now with our power probe, with our headlight switch on, notice how that's got 12 volts. If I turn the headlight switch off, we lost power. Turn it on, off, off. That's the fuse we're wanting to use, and that's number 8 on here. Pretty nifty tool. The next thing you're going to want after you found power is an add a fuse. This is going to go plug in right into our fuse box, right where that spot where that fuse is, and it's got 2 spots for 2 fuses. So you put your original fuse in the bottom one, and you put your extra fuse in the top one, and then now you have power tap on hand. So to remove the fuse, get you a pair of needle nose, grab a hold, and pull it straight out. The add a fuse, I found out you need to go ahead and put your fuses in before you go to put it into your fuse box. Okay, so now we can install our add a fuse in spot 8. Now when installing dimmer switch, take the power wire. It's going to have to come down through the dash to the fuse box. Excuse all the wires, I have all these gauges hooked up. You find your power wire. All right, now we can strip our wires back. Our red wire is our power wire. I'm going to strip it back about a ½ inch. We're going to do the same with the black wire, which is our ground. I'm going to strip both of those back. Go ahead and twist them. Take your power wire, install it all the way in, and press. And you'll get a nice crimp. Once it's crimped, you can double check it by pulling on it, and it should not come out. Once you have your power wire installed, now we have to find a ground. If you can see, I have it grounded at the top of the fuse box. There's a metal bracket. You can add a terminal connector just like this and crimp it on to your ground wire. And so I did clean up the wire since I know how unprofessional it looked before. So now here is my add a fuse. It gives my new overlay illumination when the headlight switch is on, and it dims my gauges on the pillar at night. This left accessory spot right here, actually your switched ignition voltage, so whenever you add gauges or anything accessory, you can tap in right here. And this spot is for the 12 volt constant, so that if you say you want to run something to run even when the car's off, like for example, I have my USB ports over here so I can charge my phone at any time without the car being turned on. So my temporary location for my dimmer switch right now is where my change pocket used to be. Right now I just got it zip tied up. I'm happy with it. It works fine, and I'm able to use it for right now. All right, now let's connect our wires to the back of our gauge cluster and simply click them into place. So click that. It's 2 and 3. And we need to just test just to make sure that this all works. So now, if I turn on my headlight switch, we should have power